This is the August 4th, 2022 meeting of the City of Essex Junction Planning Commission public hearing.
Okay, first up on the agenda is a audience for any members of the public that want to talk about anything not in the agenda for this evening.
Who's N?
Nick,
That's
Maher.
Nick, yeah.
Okay.
I don't see anyone.
No,
I don't
Nick,
see any
Nick
hands.
is a member of the public.
If you're remote, is there anyone remote? that
Nick's
wants
got a
to
hand
speak?
up, I think.
That's,
No, it was my hand.
no.
Sorry, Nick.
Are there any additions or amendments to the agenda for tonight?
Yes, we have two maps, which are basically representations of the verbiage. Three maps actually in the amendments to the code. One's the new City of Essex Junction zoning map. Main changes in that are the design review districts and the 5 legs coming into the 5 corners. Then there's cannabis regulation map, cannabis control map. And it shows that retail cannabis is in the highway arterial and the TOD district. And they're the only 2 districts in the city where retail cannabis can be sold. We also have a home occupation criteria, which can occur anywhere where home occupation is permitted in the city. I should explain that this home occupation is for what they call Tier 1 manufacturer. Tier 1 manufacturer may purchase, process, transfer and sell cannabis as well as finished and in-process cannabis products to other licensees, but not directly to consumers. A Tier 1 manufacturer may not produce cannabis projects using the same methods as a Tier 2 manufacturer, but not a Tier 3 manufacturer. A Tier 1 manufacturer must be a home occupation business with no more than 1 employee and under $10,000 a year gross. So it's, many people might consider it a part-time job. So it would come under the same criteria as all the other home occupation. There can't be any sign outside the house that would differentiate it from any other house in the street. The light industrial district permits processing, and the only place that would permit cultivation is in the planned agricultural district, nowhere else. So it's Tier 2 and 3 manufacturing laboratories to be permitted in the light industrial district only, which is basically the Global Foundries site.
So if someone's growing their own, it's for their personal use in their backyard.
And we should remember that according to the state, cannabis cultivation is not agricultural. It seems to me the main reason for that is then so they can't get the benefit of any tax benefits of anything that different types of agriculture can at the moment.
Robert, I'm sorry, but can you tell us off the top of your head, you mentioned the Global Foundries property. What's along Cascade Street to the south of that? Is that, do you know what's located there?
They're, from my memory, they're just lots. They're just vacant lots.
So those are the additions.
Yeah, and you can see the pinkish red is the buffer zones between schools that no retail cannabis can be sold. But, you know, it's a moot point really when you decide that it can really be sold in the EHA and the TOD districts. So. Sure.
Yeah, I think Cascade.
Yeah, I think that's what your wastewater plant and then the
Some of the
hydro
dam.
plant.
Yeah, some of the dam.
I think that's, yeah, wastewater and hydro plant along south of Cascade Street there that you're looking at.
Yeah.
So the Hiawatha School property actually goes and fronts on West Street. I see that this only goes to Hiawatha, but it actually has a driveway that goes out to West Street in that big empty space. That used to be a farm there, and the school was deeded that property.
Like
So-
like I said, in some ways, the pink zones are a moot point because none of them are overlap with the HA or the TOD district, which are the only two areas you can sell retail cannabis anyway.
Now, what would be really nice, either this time or next time, that school district properties, instead of being residential one, were actually noted as being schools. Well, I suppose a residential one, because then our residential one spots, which on Able Street and over there on Educational Drive would be not so large.
Okay.
It might reflect when someone goes and says, "Oh, there's all this residential one space," but it's not
Yeah.
residential one; it's schools.
And strange enough, while we're still on the sort of the map thing, I got a note yesterday that said that the state had bumped up the date they were going to give out permits for retail cannabis to September.
That's just a month.
But, we got to get through tonight. It's going to be advertised for the city council. They've got to review it and approve it. So
All right,
Weeks.
let's move along.
it's going to be very tight.
All right, so no more additions or amendments? No more additions to the amendments or the agenda? So we're up to the elect chair and vice chairperson portion. Does anyone put their name forward for chair? I'm putting my name forward for chair. Sent an email out. Anyone putting their name forward for vice chairperson?
I'd like to put my name forward for vice chair.
Any seconds for other?
Second. Both.
Thank you,
With
Dave.
one swoop of the hand.
So we vote now?
We vote now?
Okay. Do I hear a motion? Is a motion, right? To
Yes.
vote?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to vote on vice chairperson?
I move to vote on the vice chair.
Is there a second? All right. All in favor of voting for Patrick for vice chairperson, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Now Patrick will take over.
Take vice chair. Do I have a motion to vote for chairperson?
I'll make a motion.
All right.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right.
Move to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Right. Motion
Carries.
passes.
Congratulations,
Thanks.
Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, I think
Okay.
this might be,
So continuing, so now we'll open the public meeting, public
Yeah.
hearing.
yes, and Regina might want to speak.
So, yeah, I'm happy to start off the public hearing with a little bit of a presentation, if that would be helpful.
Great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me share my screen here. Oh, sorry. I should have done this before. Robin, I need to be enabled to share.
Oh, there you are. Gonna make you the co-host tonight.
Okay.
Here you go.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, slideshow. All right, so I don't have a ton here. It's just about 12-ish slides, I think. So really just going through the sort of top highlighted purpose of why we did the amendments to the LDC. There's a lot in that full document, and you can tell by sort of reading through the written report, all the real specific changes that are in there. But in terms of sort of big picture, why the amendments are there, it's basically under these 7 categories. So you've got The 2019 comprehensive plan, we want to make sure the concepts that were in there are then incorporated in the LDC. And one of those big ones is the Design Five Corners project. So we made some amendments that I'll go over in association with that. Then also, just generally speaking, we've really got a housing shortage. So these are some changes that we made prior to getting sort of formal recommendations from the housing committee and where they're going to land on their work. But in terms of, we wanted to really get this wrapped up and moved forward. And so we've got some other amendments in there that I'll go over. Then there's a number of changes in there generally around stormwater management that really align with some of the permits that the city is responsible for adhering to. Then just general state statute changes that have changed since the last time the LDC was amended. Then the switching from the village to the city and all of the changes that are associated with that in the new charter. Then I have some amendments in here associated with the new cannabis uses that will be soon permitted at the state level. And then just some other just real cleanup, typos, eliminating redundancies and that sort of thing. So Design Five Corners. So we made a number of changes in various sections of the plan to really try to bring this vision forward. So much more pedestrian, bicycle friendly, really trying to make the streetscape a more welcoming place, and how that kind of marries with the buildings that are going up right along the sidewalk. Also, in line with this, the comprehensive plan also called for, this is probably a little bit difficult to see here on this map, but essentially, in your village center district, you have always had design review and historic preservation standards. This amendment package in front of you now has those same types of standards for design review and historic preservation going all the way out the trunk routes on the way into the village. So it's 15, 2A, Main Street, Maple Street, and Park. Did I say that right?
Yes.
All right. So those are done as overlay districts, which means that the uses and the dimensional standards and a lot of the rules that govern what can happen in those overlay areas are still on the table. This is just an added level of review, really to ensure that the developments in those areas are getting sort of the same level of scrutiny that has been happening in the village for a while, and really with some emphasis on trying to create that more vibrant streetscape. Along with this, again, both from the comprehensive plan and the Design Five Corners concepts, is really to improve bike planning and amenities, as well as trying to improve the connections for bike access throughout the city. So we brought in reference to map 6 from the comprehensive plan, which has both existing and future plans for bike lanes and bike paths and shared use paths. So that's incorporated into the LDC. Also, we added in some requirements for bike parking, both for short-term and long-term, and a pretty comprehensive section on really enabling folks to really have this option of biking. For example, showers in commercial buildings, so that when folks are biking to work, they can have a place to change when they get there. So housing, the package The package of amendments include a couple of different things. So first is the accessory dwelling units. These have, the standards for that have been changed to align with state statute because there were some changes made last year or the year before. And so ADUs have to be either 30% or 900 square feet, whichever is greater, or they can be up to that size. It has been changed to a permitted use as opposed to a conditional use. So essentially that means it just needs a zoning permit from the zoning administrator, doesn't go through a more burdensome process through the development review board for conditional use approval. The owner occupancy requirement is still there, but it's been clarified that the owner of the property can either live in the primary larger dwelling or the accessory dwelling unit.
Great.
Also, we looked at increasing the density in the multifamily residential 1 and residential 2 districts. We also really just sort of simplified how the density calculations in those districts work. As a reminder to folks and as new info for new planning commission members, for the most part, the MF1 and MF2 zoning districts are pretty built out. So it's not likely to see major change there, but it is possible that we could see some more units over time. In the R1 and R2 residential zoning districts, duplexes and triplexes have been added as permitted uses. Prior to this proposal, it's only been single family homes with the option for that accessory dwelling unit. So that is still the case. You can still do a single family home with an accessory dwelling unit, or you can also do a single family, a duplex or a triplex. So that change does have some parameters on it. Essentially the type of the structure still has to have a detached single family home style to it. But it really, again, I would say for the most part, it's not likely that you're going to see a whole lot of single family homes converting, but it's certainly a helpful piece of the puzzle going forward. Then the planned unit development regulation, that has just really been kind of minimized where it's necessary. A lot of multifamily housing had to go through that planned unit development process. And so we've really simplified that. You shouldn't have to go through a planned unit development unless you're actually doing a subdivision of land. So made a couple of different changes in there. Then last, I'm not sure I'm going to say last but not least, because there's probably other stuff really in here that that hopefully will help the housing issue. But the Planning Commission decided to reduce the residential parking requirement from 2 parking spaces per residential unit down to 1 space per residential unit. And also there is an inclusion for shared parking provisions. So that can be very helpful in a mixed use kind of area where you might have a pretty big need for residential parking in the evening, but when folks leave, that parking can be opened up for other uses during the day. And so if an applicant comes forward with a concept for how shared parking would work, we've got a guide in there to help them figure that out. Then it would be up to the development review board to decide whether they're comfortable reducing the parking required based on that shared parking concept. Other changes that were made, this is probably too many words to read, but essentially a number of different changes were made from the wastewater treatment plant folks and the water quality superintendent to really try to minimize stormwater being managed with pipes and real infrastructure like we think of real infrastructure, pipes under the ground and all of that kind of thing. The concept really is more to sort of move to a place where stormwater is managed on site with natural processes like this rain garden that you see here on the picture, and really try to minimize how much the city itself needs to collect and treat stormwater, whereas instead it should really be done on site through some better techniques. So there's a number of changes in the LDC for that, and to meet some of the other permit requirements that the city has on water quality. There's also a number of state statute changes that have happened between now and when the last time the village updated the LDC. So there's just quite a few things in that. We already talked about the accessory dwelling unit changes. One other change is that Essex Junction had a 1-year expiration on site plan and conditional use approvals. So that essentially means if you get a site plan approval or a conditional use approval from then the Planning Commission, now the Development Review Board, if you didn't build that project within a year, that approval went away and you had to sort of come back to the table and start again. State statute has changed that expiration timeframe has to be, can't be less than 2 years. You also could have no expiration date at all, but if you're going to have an expiration date, it can't be less than 2 years. So we made that change. There's alignment with V-Trans highway access permits. So for any development that is happening on a state highway, those applications, when they come forward to the city, they have to include a notification that they had already talked to V-Trans and beginning some conversations about how that access is going to be managed by the state. There's a minor existing small lots provision that we amended. There's also a very minor, hardly ever going to probably come into play, planting project exemption that was in there. There's some slight definition changes of a planned unit development that we made. And then lastly, the plat recording fee has been increased. So that's added there. So just a note on this slide for the new Planning Commission members. We in Vermont, we're in a Dillon's rule state. That means that municipalities can't do anything unless it is, unless you're enabled to do it by the state. So that means anything that they change in the zoning statute, it's Title 24, Chapter 117, you don't have much choice. You have to sort of make these changes. There can be lots of different ways to do it, but for the most part, you've got to be in line with state statute. So that's why these changes are here. And that's the case, not just in zoning, it's the way the whole state works. And a great example of that is your charter couldn't become a city until the state said it was okay to become a city.
Yay.
Yay. So other changes in the LDC throughout, this is basically every single page has been changed because of this, is village been changed to city. And then prior to the city, in your old charter, you had a planning commission and a zoning board of adjustment model of development review. Now you've got a development review board. So all of that has been changed in the LDCs, including how different approvals are appealed. So lots of different changes came into play for this. So then Robin, I have 2 slides on cannabis. One is the use table itself, and then the second is this map. So which would you like me to sit on first for you to talk through it?
Well, we have sort of talked through it a bit anyway, but let's start with the cannabis regulation map. Everybody's got it, should have a copy. So retail cannabis is only permitted in two districts. BHA district and TOD district, they're both on Pearl Street, just starting slightly west of the Champlain Valley Exposition. The state requires that you must enable retail cannabis if it's been voted for in your community. We have done that. We've excluded it to those two areas. They're the only two areas that it can happen. We've also, on the map, we have the 500-foot buffer zone around schools. You'll note that none of the schools are within 500 feet of the HA or the TOD district. The other categories of cannabis, the one that probably is the most expansive potential in the city, although the smallest impact, is the one for home occupation. It's referred to the city as tier 1 manufacturing, where someone can purchase, process, manufacture, transfer, and sell cannabis, as well as finished and in-process cannabis products to other licensees, but they can't sell it to consumers. They also cannot earn more than $10,000 gross in a year. So it really is part-time occupation. In the use table, you'll see, do you want to throw up the use table, Eugene?
It's sort of impossible to see here, but
Maybe, that's good. That the tier 2 and 3 manufacturing and laboratories are permitted in the light industrial district only. Nowhere else are they permitted. And cultivation is only permitted in the planned agricultural district. So we've given opportunities, but restricted where those opportunities can occur. Did I miss anything, Regina?
I don't think so. Just that we also did put in chapter 2, the definitions section, there's a definition for all of these uses. It is the same definition that the state uses. So just putting it here for convenient location. Just a note in terms of sort of the public hearing and the warning for tonight. This particular map is a really helpful and useful map for everybody to understand what's going on. But it doesn't need to be incorporated into the LDC itself. So this map on its own wasn't within the warned hearing documents, but that's okay because it's more informative and it's including both state rules like that 500-foot buffer that we don't have written into the LDCs because they're going to enforce that. And the definitions and this table itself is what you have in your LDCs that really are the sort of backbone regulatory rules for just how it would play out is just simply depicted on this map, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense.
Will the map be included on the website?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think that's important, actually. Gives people a sense when they're doing their due diligence of what can and can't happen where.
I know we're trying to move with rapidity, but as a new member of the Planning Commission, can someone give me a quick explanation of the various zoning districts, why the two that were selected, and what the rationale was for, since we are going to allow it somewhere.
That was so, well, once the residents voted to permit retail, then we had to have retail. And I'm going to paraphrase, the state rule says that you cannot purposely obstruct the ability for someone to sell retail cannabis. So then there was a cannabis committee, 2 city councillors, one of the interim city managers, and myself. We worked through where they thought it would be best to have retail cannabis. And these are the two districts that they came up.
Where's the use table on this thing?
Very back.
Very left.
I'm way back.
Oh, there it is. I believe we also mirrored other commercial uses, right?
Yeah.
In the allowance of why we chose
Yeah.
those
yeah.
ones. It matches other commercial businesses too.
Yeah, outdoor, it has to be retail or commercial entry level and residential above. That sort of worked into the system without disrupting it.
Okay, thank you.
So I just have one more slide if you want me to
Sure.
finish up. And also, I meant to mention under the sort of broad category of design five corners, also that we did incorporate comments from the tree advisory committee on the landscaping section. So not necessarily because of design five corners, but just want folks to know that there's much improvement in that section from the tree advisory committee's thinking on how the landscaping and trees and the public right of way all works out. So,
Very good changes. Excellent.
so just for you folks, next steps. So essentially tonight is to receive public comment. Then you can close the hearing. Then it is up to you to incorporate whatever changes you would like in the LDCs. I just wanted to point out, there are definitely some typos that still need to be addressed. I think I got half of Diane's edits in there, but there's still another half, but they're very minor, grammatical typo kind of things. So once you make that decision, whether you're going to make amendments or not, whenever the product is final, as far as you're concerned, you then hand it over to the city council. So you would need a motion to forward it to the city council, and that will also incorporate any amendments that you need to your written report. Then the city council will hold their own public hearing.
Regina, quick question on technicalities. Is this technically two public hearings? One for the LDC and one for the cannabis use table and definitions?
Yeah, they are, we specifically warned them as two separate. So you could, I think at the end of this, you can just, really, it's only in place that way. So you can forward them separately if you feel like you need to forward them separately.
Okay. Need to open two public hearings and close two public hearings, though.
No, I think you're okay with, because both are on the table for comment. And then it's just really when you decide what you're going to do with these amendments and forward them on, you can do it separately if you would like.
Okay. Just want to make sure I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
First time.
So I have a question about, I was a little bit confused about the report that was on the website that was printed out for us tonight versus the July 11th report or LDC, which was more comprehensive. Robin explained to me that this report only covers the changes, not necessarily all of the content that was in the July 11th LDC. Which one goes to the city council and for their public hearing?
So, the full LDC with every single page in it, I don't even know how many pages that is. It's a lot of pages. It makes sense for the document that's put up and warned for it to just be the amended pages. Otherwise, it gets kind of problematic for everybody to work through. But there's really no reason why we couldn't put both up there on the website, because sometimes it is helpful that some people want to read the entire thing and figure out what section they're in. So it could be done both ways if you would like.
Well, it's not a question of like, it's just a question of what's more clear to, for example, if I was a person from the public who wanted to read the LDC, and I saw on the website today just the amended version, or the changes, I would be confused as to what the requirements were for various aspects of the LDC. So it's the audience that you're looking at. If you're looking at the public, even though it's 245 pages or whatever, it may be that somebody's interested in reading all 245 pages. It's just, for me, it's a question of clarity for whoever wants to read the LDC.
Yeah. And I will say it's the real benefit of the written report. That's also in the first few pages of that full document that's on the website, because it really describes what the changes are and where and what the purpose of them is. But technically for the warning, you need to have the tracked change version that just has the track changes in it. But there's no reason why it can't be the
Full LD
the whole entire document.
website, right, under the planning commission page.
Well, the old one does, the 2016.
Yeah, and then, so you're just saying that the amended version was what was attached to this public hearing?
Just
Yeah,
the changes,
the
just
change.
changes.
So like what we
Right,
got
right.
on the 11th
Right.
was like the whole document.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But if
I can
I-
see the point, yeah.
But if I was new to understanding what was in the LDC, and for example, I wanted to know what you need to do for a tower under telecommunications, all that old stuff that was in 2016 is not in the 2022. So if you're
Well-
relatively new to the city and you want to know, you'd have to either pull up the 2016 and look at the changes of this one, as opposed to just having a comprehensive document on it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do, but I guess where I'm going is what got put forward for this is just the amended changes, so you could see it, and then you could, the LDC still exists, the 2016 version on the website, and you could go back, find that and reference that off the planning commission page.
I know, but yeah, it's just a question of what's easier for a person that's looking for it. If you're updating the LDC, why not have a final version that replaces the 2016 version?
That's probably easy to do for when it goes to the city council, right? Put it up on the
Yeah,
website, the full
yes,
document.
but I mean,
Yeah.
we don't put it up until it's approved, unless it's something we're working through. It's like
Mhm.
when we have a master plan for something, we post what's coming in front of the DRB at that time.
Mhm.
Yeah, it should, I mean, it has to have the track changes in it, so it's clear that it's not a final document, but it can totally have all of the pages, so a person could actually read through it and understand what's what.
Yeah, I mean, it's a suggestion. I think it would be easier for public comment as well. If somebody didn't have all the information.
We have no problem putting that on. I'll get Terry to put it on tomorrow.
I mean, even I got confused when I first started looking at the document. I was like, wait, where's this?
What happened to
thing? And then I
definition?
realized it was just the changes.
Yeah.
What happened to definitions 1 through 8?
Yeah. So I think, is that it for the presentation?
Cheers.
So now we will open it up for public input. I don't see anyone here in the meeting room. Is there anyone remotely that would like to speak? I don't see there. Robin, do you see if there's anyone?
I'm looking, there's Nick and there's Wendy, but there's no hand up I can see.
No, there's a RDC phone or something. Who's that?
That's gone.
Okay,
Was there? Was, but it's gone.
what's going on?
I was wondering who that was.
I think we can close the public input section then. I think we need to vote for that.
Mm-hmm.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Public hearing section is closed. So now we can discuss as far as if we want to make any changes. Diane, you have a number of parameters.
Well, actually, she's working
Okay.
through my numerous selections. And I have every
Helpful selections.
I have every confidence that Regina will clean that up and have that ready. But I agree with Scott that it might be best if that track change piece is up, because the public might want to see all those changes. And the counselors will essentially see that as opposed to just the track changes or the changes we have here. They'll see what the document is.
I don't think that changes any content of the document, though. That's
Correct.
a recommendation to put that up.
Right, well, for our new counselor, Scott and Elijah, okay, who didn't walk through this for months.
Like I said, I also was confused at first
I was
too.
telling Scott earlier, he gets like gold cup just because he came in at the end of the game.
But for these guys, it might be helpful for them to see all the work that, we've been doing and get an idea of where it was and where it's going.
Well, I have to say congratulations. I mean, this is an enormous endeavor. I'm still trying to learn everything that's in it. Honestly.
It was, I would say.
Yeah.
I'm definitely eager to send this off. It's been a long year and a half.
I'm done discussing. I have hopes that Regina will do all this. Hi, Buzz. Well, it's been a lot of effort to go from me to Regina and then Regina to fix them.
So do we have a motion to send the documents to the city council with all of Diane's grammatical checks corrected, as well as the cannabis use table and definitions,
And the new zoning map.
and the new zoning map?
Oh, I have a question, however, before we move on. In this, I'm assuming this line down the side on the left in these,
Oh, I think it's a printed thing.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
assuming
on
that the
back,
format,
it's on the-
Yeah.
okay, I'm assuming that's a formatting thing?
Yeah.
Can we,
Unitarian or formatting.
okay, can we ensure that the city councilors don't see a clean copy?
Don't get confused.
All right, I make a motion to send the
Amendments.
amendments to the land development code to the city councilors, as well as the definitions of cannabis, and use table, as well as
The updated zoning map.
the updated zoning.
And the cannabis map as well? Or no?
No, the cannabis map's not included.
It's gonna live bad sale on the website.
Okay.
I will second that.
All in favor? Say
Aye.
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 The motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Regina, for all your help.
Thank you very much, boss.
You're welcome. So I would recommend that you do make a second motion to forward the cannabis
Okay.
pieces individually, just in case the city council wants to take them up separately.
Fair enough.
Would you like to motion?
Yeah, and you're recommending both the use table and definitions together, so the cannabis is packaged together.
Yes.
I make a motion then to approve just the definitions of cannabis and the use table to include cannabis.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Passes unanimously.
All right.
Any other items? I would like to hear a motion to adjourn the meeting then.
Do we have a schedule of our meeting schedule moving forward? Is that something that we've discussed at all?
John Alden thought that we should have both the DRB meetings and the PC meetings on a Thursday night. If they both happen twice a month, that means I don't have a Thursday night ever.
Yeah.
So what was it used to be called? The Zoning Board of Adjustment used to meet on Tuesday nights.
I'd be okay with that.
That way I would have zoning DBA on a Tuesday and a planning commission on a Thursday.
Does that need, like, that was in the charter, right? When we meet, does that need to be changed?
I can't remember.
Is it, well, in the charter, did it specify day or just?
Or maybe, yeah.
The number
Okay,
of
well,
times per
it's
month?
just specified when the planning commission
often?
was meeting, yes, twice a month on such and such. The zoning board The DBA, on the other hand, the ZBA, whatever, is,
ZBA.
they were not earmarked. They're flexible as to when they meet,
But there was
so,
one
Right.
person, so.
Right. Well, yeah, and they meet when they have an application and when to decide they should meet.
Tuesdays is fine by me
Yeah.
if it works out. I know we're supposed to meet twice a month. And
Right.
well, we would still be on Thursdays. This zoning part was,
ZBA would have to be on Tuesday, so you're leaving me in, yes,
Yeah.
arm wrestle with John, thank you very
yes, don't mess with my Tuesdays.
much.
I-
Okay,
Okay.
okay, so we're gonna stay Thursdays for the PC.
So will there be another meeting in August, or will we just have a meeting in September?
This is a matter of when you want to get started.
We,
Well,
well, do we have an unofficial meeting in September?
I think we do have an official meeting in September on a Saturday.
Have we stopped now? So we can stop the recording, Scott?
We
We haven't adjourned yet?
Actually, I think according to the charter, we were meeting was it the first Thursday of the month? So I guess are we agreeing that we're meeting on the first Thursday of the month, which doesn't conflict with Labor Day?
Right,
No, it'd be September 1st.
Okay. So,
happy days.
Are you saying charter or the LDC?
actually, I think both.
I think, yeah, I said charter. I think it's in the charter.
I think it's in the charter, and I also think it's in the LDC. A little more restricted. But it's in there.
I think we should have Robin figure this out. Get back to us on when we're supposed to.
We'll do a problem to figure out.
Because I thought it was a little strange that we would be designated to meet, actually be
Yeah.
there, but it's there.
It's
It's
stated
in-
a day of the week that we were supposed to. I
It
thought
says,
we
it
just-
says on the website as well.
But
Yeah.
Either twice a month or, yeah, maybe.
Right, but it didn't go as far to say it must be the first and third Thursday.
I
It
don't
just
remember.
speaks to frequency that it should happen
That
twice
was
a month.
twice a month.
Well, I'll work it out. We'll work it out. I'll email everybody and let you know. Oh, one thing I do want to say
We will
is,
see everyone at Robin's on the
11th,
17th.
17th. One thing I do want to say though, mass emailing over the discussion we had about 17th is fine. But generally speaking, just to be on the safe side, because sometimes you click without thinking. If you want to send anything to do with the planning commission, send it to Terry and myself. Then we'll forward it out. We don't change it. We just pass it on. Just keeps us on the very, very safe side of open meeting law, just in case, because sometimes you just don't think. You just click.
The charter does not say when you have to meet.
Okay, I guess it's the LDC then.
Okay, well, I will get back to them on that after they close out this meeting.
We need a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Meeting adjourned at 7.